Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to look at the 1 to 4 player game, New Bedford, published by Greater Than Games. In New Bedford, this is going to be a historic whaling game. You're going to be going out and trying to get as many whales as you can to gain as many points as possible by the end of the game. So let's go ahead down to the table here. I'm going to give you a general overview of how to play the game, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is what an initial setup of New Bedford might look like. So basically you start out the game, each player is going to get one of these little mats here. And the game plays up to 1 to 4 players. Now in the solo mode, you're going to be playing against the other captains, and then on the player mats there's a reverse side. And there's captains on here, and you're going to be fighting those. We're not going to go over the solo mode, but it is very detailed and really nice, the solo mode for the game. So if you do like solo mode or playing games solo, this is actually a really good game for that. So each person's going to get their own little board here, and on the board you're going to have a place to put your goods. You're going to have your 1 per turn actions you can take. You can pay 3 money for 2 food, or you can pay 3 money for 2 wood. This is what your stack of whales that you returned, and these are your 2 different ships and the hulls that they have. So to start out the game, each player is going to get 2 ships, 2 little meeples of their color, and a little wheel here to show their color during the game. They're also going to get $5, and they can use that $5 before the game starts to buy any combination of goods that they want to get. Now, a wood cost 1. They can buy 5 wood if they want and only have wood. Bricks cost 2. And food are $1. So you can do that to start out the game, get what you want. You're going to look at basically the array of buildings available in there and go from there. Now, I do have this sort of set up for a 4-player game. In a 2-player game, you're going to have specific buildings that you're going to place out, or at least they suggest you to. 12 buildings instead of all these buildings. You're also going to set up this bag, and this bag has whales and empty sea spaces in it. What you're going to do with that is you're going to take your different whales. So you have your right whale, you have your bow-headed whale, and you have your sperm whale. For each player, you're going to put 9 of these right whales in. You're going to put 5 of the bowheads and 1 sperm whale for each player, and 4 empty sea spaces into this bag, and gently shuffle it up. After you've done that, the game is ready to go. You're going to pick a first player and go through the game. You're going to go through 12 different rounds, and the person with the most points at the end wins. Now there's going to be a couple different ways that you're going to get points at the end of the game. You're going to get points for your different whales. They're going to have point values on them. You can get points for your different buildings. The victory point buildings are at the bottom. So like this one, just straight up 4 points. This one gets you 2 points for every right whale, and so on and so forth. And you get points for your money that you have. The person with the most points wins in case of a tie. The person with the most whale tiles wins. If there's still a tie, the player with the most unscored money wins. If there's still a tie, they share the victory. So throughout the game, it's going to go over a couple different phases. So you're going to go through the first phase, which is going to be your action phase, which is like a worker placement game. You're going to take a look at this board right here. And these are currently the different actions you can take. You can go place your thing at any of these, and if you're the first person at any of these locations, you get a bonus. So at the warehouse, if you're the first person at this location, not only do you get a brick, but you get to get an additional either wood, food, or brick. The other thing that you can do with your workers on your turn is you can place them up here. If you place them up here, this place here, you get to build your boat. So if you build your boat, so if I go here, if I'm the first player there, it only costs 1 wood. I can place my boat up there. Now I can't go to the city pier in the same round, but in a future round, I could launch my boat. And when you launch your boat, sorry, I didn't really see that really well, but there we go. If you launch your boat, you have to pay an amount of food. So if you're the first person there, you can pay 1 less. when you launch your boat, it's going to go along here. And we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to put some random ones on here to pretend they're on here because we're going to go over a different section of the game shortly. After everyone has placed their workers down, we're going to go into the next phase. But there's one place that I wanted to mention before we do that, and that's going to be the town hall. You can go to the town hall, and the town hall lets you build one of these buildings. If you build a building, you're going to have to look at the cost, which is always on the bottom here. And once you pay it, it'll flip over and you get to place this building. The buildings, what the buildings do are listed on here. When you place a building, you're all going to have your own little section that you're going to build off of. So let's say mine was over here. So I place that building. In the future, I can send my worker there for free and do that action. An opponent can also send their worker there if they wish, but most of these buildings, I think all of them, only allow one. So the first person to go there gets to do the building. Now, if it's an opponent, they also have to pay me $1 to be able to use this building. So buildings are really nice and really valuable, and they expand upon the worker placement actions that you can take per turn. After that, we're going to go into the next phase of the game, which is going to be the looking at the whaling board. Now, remember when we launched those, we paid our food, we got out there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the movement phase. So in the movement phase, each of these ships go back one space. Okay? If the ship ever made it to the return area, the ship would return, and all the whales in that ship's hull would then need to be paid for. Now, how much a whale cost is listed right here. So there's 3 different costs on the whales for each of the 3 different types. So all of this right whale are 2, and I think the sperm whale is 4, but we'll see in a second. But anyway, they cost more. So I have to pay for all my whales. This is the amount of points that I get. Once I pay for them, once I return, they go on my board. If I can't pay for them, I actually get half the value here, and the token becomes available to the player on my left, and that player can then purchase this whale and place it on their board. Now for full price, not half price. So that's the movement phase and what happens if any of your ships return. Now we're going to get into the whaling phase. Now on the whaling phase, what's going to end up happening is you're going to say, okay, I have 3 ships out there, and I'm going to draw a tile for each ship. Whoever's in the first will be doing this. A tile for each ship plus 1. So I'll be drawing 4 tiles. When I draw 4 tiles, I'm going to, starting with the person that's farthest out, I'm going to pick a whale that I want. Yeah. So actually, the sperm whale, I think it might be 8. I don't remember. Anyway, so this guy right here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take him. So I'm going to put him in my ship hull here. The next player, the orange player in this case, could pick one, and then the last player can pick one. Now, technically, I should have moved these buildings over a little bit because I should have room, because whatever's not picked, even if it is this watery space, is placed on the board. So there are buildings here that allow me to eliminate the watery space, but what ends up happening at the beginning of the next whaling phase, if there's any tokens on the board here, they're going to go back in the bag before I draw. So there'll be less and less whales available as the game goes by. After that, we're going to go into the end of round phase, which is pretty quick. So after all players have selected their whales, the end of round phase occurs. The first player marker moves to the player on the left, and the round marker moves 1 space forward. And the players take back their workers, and we start a new round. Now this will continue to go until the whale gets to the 12th round. At the end of the 12th round, the game ends. And like I said, the person with the most points will win the game. That, in general, is going to be how you're going to play New Bedford. Just a quick overview of the game. Let's go head back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts on this game. So I really like New Bedford. It is an awesome worker placement game. It is going in my personal collection. I'm going to be playing it for a long time. It plays really quickly, which I also like too. For a worker placement game, really good. This actually might be one of the games I introduced for our work lunch hour game. There's a lot of meaningful decisions in the game, which I like a lot too, where you're going to have to pick between like building the town, getting points there, getting new action spaces in there, getting those point buildings, going out and building your ship and starting whaling. When you do that is very crucial, because do you want to be the first person to select the tiles, or do you want to do other things and get those victory point buildings out first and let other people do that? A lot of different strategies in this game. Or are you going to try to just have a lot of coins by the end of the game, or are you going to try to have a lot of whales by the end of the game? Scores seem to be very close and very tight. Overall, just amazing worker placement game. So if you're looking for a worker placement game that can play in about 30 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on player count and experience, I highly recommend checking out New Bedford. Thank you for watching.